Hello. We are doing the jam. We're gonna recap a little bit from where we left off yesterday, because we didn't really have a good understanding of what was really going on in this section. So we want to retread that. Try to get a new look on it. So we're just gonna start from focus heading again. We already have all this code done, but we're just gonna read it and try to understand what's going on with that, and then hopefully we will. Um, I don't know how far we can get today. I mean, I think we'll get to camera collision at the very least, and that seems helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you already started reading a little bit of focus setting and kind of explaining it. But if you want
Yeah.
to, like, for the stream.
Yeah. So the first part that we were confused by was automatic alignment because we thought it would be done at the end, but it's not done at the end. The first part makes it so that it just saves the time that you last rotated the camera manually. It just saves that time as last for manual rotation time. And then we make a Boolean that just says whether or not we should rotate automatically. And that's returned false if the the time between our changes, I guess. The time, oh no, the current time minus the last time that we rotated manually. I'm reading it like code, but I'm
But
sorry,
yeah,
it's
it's
like a
just
long sentence.
if it's like changed in a
Yeah,
certain amount
if
of
it's
time.
the amount of time has is smaller than, I feel like, is that right? If the time is smaller than a line delay, shouldn't it be greater? Oh, no, it's false.
Yeah, if the time is less than, then it's true, right?
So it's, yeah, so it's always returning true unless that rotation, or unless
Wait,
that,
I think shouldn't it always be returning false? Because otherwise it would always be re like aligning the camera.
but not if anytime you touch it, it starts that if thing and then it like resets the line delay
Okay.
because last manual rotation gets reset. Um, in late update, we can, yeah, so in the late update part where we have our manual rotation Boolean controlling our angle constraint, we just do an or statement with the automatic rotation as part of that, so it also does it if it's true. Uh, and then I'll read what he says for focus setting. The criteria that are used to align cameras varies. In our case, we will base it solely on the focus point's movement since the previous frame. The idea is that it makes most sense to look in the direction that the focus was last heading. So when it, like, by the time the camera turns, the thing will have already moved technically. But if you get its direction beforehand, then it'll turn a little bit more and it'll match it, I guess, is the idea.
Hmm.
To make this possible, we'll need to know both the current and previous focus point. So have update focus point set fields for both. And we just added that to our previous, we had an update focus point, and we just added previous focus point is equal to focus point.
So the
So every
previous
time
focus
it's
point is
called,
just what it's resetting to, right? Is that the idea?
uh,
Like when it's
no,
automatically realigned, it aligns to that previous state.
I guess, well, I don't know, actually, you might be ahead of me.
It's just weird because like when it resets, like in this case, I'm going this way, and then I reverse, and it like this is not an angle I've done before. Like it's not an existing angle. It's just like reversing the current angle. It's weird.
Well, it's pointing. Is it pointing at the spot that you were standing in before? Because that's what it's supposed to be doing.
But why does it flip orientation?
Because of the next part that
Okay.
we haven't explained yet. So in the Boolean for automatic rotation, we make a movement vector, which I was trying to draw yesterday, but just think of it as the distance between uh, the or the current focus point and the last focus point. It's just a line between those 2 points. And we make a float for the magnitude, I guess, or square magnitude. I guess that's Pythagorean theorem to get that. I don't know.
Square magnitude? Is it just what is square magnitude versus just magnitude?
I don't know if it's the square of it or if it's like a magnitude derived from a square or something.
I have the unity thing up. Square
Either way,
magnitude. Oh,
it forces it to be greater than 0 at all times
okay.
if
Okay.
it is a square. And I think that's the point.
Okay. That makes sense.
Because we're going to be comparing it then to a really small number, but it's still it's still positive, I guess the idea.
Yeah, we're just making sure it's not such a minor, like really, really minor movements won't be taken into account.
Yeah, so if if the focus point magnitude is super small, return false or don't do automatic rotation. That's what it says. I'm not sure why, but I'll read it. Then have automatic rotation calculate the movement vector for the current frame. As we're only rotating horizontally, we only need the 2D movement in the XZ plane. If the squared magnitude of this movement is less than a small threshold, then there wasn't much movement and we won't bother rotating. Okay, so it's just a kind of a specific check. Although I don't get that, because if it's oh, you know what? I think I'm getting it confused because there's two false statements. It's you can put as many false statements as you want. I didn't think about that.
Like there can be multiple ways for something to return false.
Yeah, and that's what it is. So it's both. It's this is just like a small detail. If there is an input, but it's super small, don't do anything.
Okay.
But the main thing is still um, that time, unscaled time minus last manual rotation time. That's what is mostly going to be turning it off when you're manually controlling it, basically. Um, so uh, this is the part where he says otherwise, and I got confused. So I'm going to read the line before. If the square magnitude of this movement vector is less than a small threshold, then there wasn't much movement and we won't bother rotating. Otherwise, we have to figure out the horizontal angle matching the current direction. Create a static get angle method to convert a 2D direction to an angle for that. So we're taking the XZ plane, that distance, the movement vector 2, and making a triangle out of it to get the angle of around the y axis, I guess, if you or on the x or on the horizontal direction, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna
You
erase this,
still
but I
have it
can.
open.
Yeah, it's still open. I'll just. This is movement. This is camera. We want this angle.
Just how much the
So
camera had to rotate to track the movement, essentially.
yeah, how much, what angle it should turn to compensate.
Because otherwise it would just maintain. I guess I should have my own picture. So like beforehand, the camera was like, like that tracked onto it, and if the ball moved like this, then the camera would also move like this, so it would be like that exact same orientation at the end point. But now instead, the ball moves, and the camera will kind of like pivot to follow it instead, like rotate.
Sorry, I need to open up your.
Oh,
Yeah, I think that is what it. Wait, which one did you just say?
well, this is the way it was before, where the camera would just stay at the exact same angle, but just pan with it, so it
Yeah.
would create kind of like a square. Whereas in this case, it would kind of rotate and like stay in place and rotate, tracking it. I guess,
Yeah,
and
I
it
think
creates an
so.
angle right here of this triangle.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like that's what's happening.
Is it when you're moving? Yeah, it's adding the angle, right? It's like not uh it's not smooth yet. I feel like that is what's happening, right? It's snapping to your back.
I guess that's true, but it's the camera is still doing that like square. It's still doing this movement. It just does this movement, and then it just snaps, and then all of a sudden the camera is here, or something like that. So it seems like it does this and then this afterwards.
You're not like moving the camera at all?
No, I'm. This is fully me just like.
So if you move it around a little bit and then turn, does it do it?
Yeah,
What's the delay at? Is it really
I think
high?
it's 1 second. I think I put it
Put
down
it,
really low on purpose so that it would be like obvious.
yeah. Well, I think it's that thing having to do with converting 0 to 360 again. We do that at in get angle.
Maybe once we have it smooth too, it'll be easier to tell what's happening. Because
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like
the next step.
fundamentally just the problem of understanding the code is that I just still don't understand what this camera is even doing. It feels like completely random to me. It's like it's confusing. So I'm not really gonna be able to get the code that well until I get the camera. Cause like sometimes it smooth tracks. Like look when I spin, like when I turn like this. Here it does smooth tracking, and it never did that before. It feels like this, and then that are like two different features, but they're like the same thing. Like we added those in the same like chunk of code. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, but that angle could either represent a clockwise or a counterclockwise rotation. We can look at the x component of the direction to know which it is. If x is negative, it's counterclockwise, and we have to subtract the angle from 360. Um, Back in automatic rotation, we can use get angle to get the heading angle. What is the heading angle? I guess that's an important keyword here that I'm not getting. Just the direction the vehicle is heading in, I suppose. Vehicle heading.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think the idea is it points to like,
Just the way the ball
if,
is heading, right?
yeah, I think that's all it is. But I think you're saving the angle as instead of like deriving the how much it needs to change, like saving the angle at which it's moving towards, and doing it using that data. Because this is like kind of, I guess, primitive. Not even primitive, but it's like pretty static.
Yeah. And he said that there's like a built-in camera system thing that he just chose not to use because this way we'll understand the mechanics of it better, you know? Like building it
Yeah,
from scratch. So we could always just go use that built-in camera tool as well, worst case scenario.
yeah.
Okay. Smooth alignment. The automatic alignment works, but immediately snapping to match the heading is too abrupt. Let's slow it down by using the configured rotation speed for automation rotation as well, so it mimics manual rotation. What? By using the configured rotation speed. So the same rotation speed that we have controlling our manual rotation will also be applied here, is that what he's saying? That way it feels like the manual rotation?
In
Uh,
smooth, is that in smooth alignment?
yeah.
Oh, I guess I don't see it being used anywhere.
We can
But
use
maybe
mathf.
we I think we derive it.
We can use mathf moving towards angle for this, which works like move towards, except that it can deal with the range of angles. So again, is this another lerp? It just lerps between angles, I guess. Is that
Yeah,
the
I think
idea?
so.
It's nice to know. That would be a very helpful tool. This is within what, automatic rotation?
Oh, I gotta catch up on focus heading, I think. Previous focus point I have. Wait, did I do this? I
Yeah,
did, yeah.
yeah. I thought we were
Yeah,
caught.
we did.
Okay.
Oh no, wait, the heading angle. I didn't. What the fuck? Okay. This is. It feels weird not typing it.
It doesn't stick in your head as much.
Yeah, because I didn't know what I was writing.
I get that. Yeah.
A heading angle. Adding rotation change is to. Oh yeah, rotation speed is right there. Duh.
That's a lot nicer. It's a little bit aggressive, but I guess that is because I have the timer down pretty low. Let me try to put the timer to like 5 seconds. See how that feels. So yeah, I think it is two different things. So I think it's so weird. So I guess once Once it's been the 5 seconds and it resets your camera, then it starts tracking the orientation. It like switches between camera modes. It doesn't just move the camera. Like now the camera behaves differently. Because if I move the camera around and then I do this, look, like it starts tracking it like normal again. And then after the 5 seconds, then it starts doing the weird tracking. So I guess that makes a little more sense.
Maybe bring up the focus radius. I feel like that would really show off what it's doing with the movement vector, because that would make the that movement vector bigger.
It's weird. It doesn't feel like it's like orbiting the. Oh, there it goes. Just caught up. Having the radius that high is weird.
Yeah, I think 4 is too much because it's radius, so it gets
Yeah, it
doubled.
expands quick.
Um,
That helped a bit.
did
I
you
understood
did
it a
you
little
already put
better.
in the stuff for smooth alignment?
Yeah, that's what I'm playing with right now.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So yeah, if I move the camera, then the camera's orientation is like. Also, the camera's a little choppy when I control it with the mouse still. So I don't know. That might be something that gets fixed when I build. But yeah, I just like I can move the camera around all freely and move in whatever direction. And then after the 5 seconds of me not moving the camera, is it while I'm not moving the camera and I'm moving? Does it happen if I don't move at all too?
I don't know if it. I don't know.
Looks like no. Now snap. Yeah. Float heading angle equals get angle. Movement. What is movement? It's just.
I, I think this works pretty good, honestly. Not to sound like a sucker or anything, but if you like stop moving the mouse while you're moving the guy, it like slowly turns back to him.
Yeah.
That feels pretty good. Although I feel like it should go down as well.
Yeah, it doesn't change. It feels like it's only changed the horizontal rotation. It doesn't change the vertical
Yeah,
alignment like at
that's
all.
we only get that horizontal angle.
So I'm sure that'll be something he'll add later. But yeah, I don't have like I don't like hate this system or anything. I just gotta like get used to it. I also gotta like look to other games that implement something like this and see what it feels like there, because it's like different doing it when it's a thing you made versus like just playing a game and noticing it.
Yeah.
So I feel like here I'm more inclined to be like, what's the word? Like open to it, because I'm the one who made it, I guess. Not really, but like I wrote it, so I'm more likely to be kind of like, yeah, it's fine. But if I was like playing Dead Rising and it does this, then I'm just like, oh, this sucks. Like this feels awful. Like I feel like it'll be easier for me to see it in that light.
I feel like once I see something in a game, I feel like it's okay. But I mean, not for like major bugs, or not even bugs, but like there's plenty of shitty stuff in games.
Yeah, like we were talking about yesterday, like camera inertia.
Yeah.
Like if a game had that, like if I implemented that, I would be like, oh, that's kind of a fun little system. Like if I didn't think about it very much, and then like if a game just had that, I would hate it.
When you look at the ball, how big do you see the character? I see the character inside the ball completely.
Oh,
This
I
like,
see the ball as like the character's ankles.
yeah, that's what I thought.
He's
I
just
don't know
standing
why I
above it.
thought that.
I imagine this becoming a capsule,
I
like
imagine this
upwards.
as like a guy running really fast, you know, like at this size,
It could work. I mean, we could
turning
always do like
turning hard.
a hamster ball, a fish
This is
bowl.
like I'm thinking like Shinobi Strikers. You know what I mean?
Are you really small in that game?
No, but like the speed versus scale, I guess. This is about how fast you run. Like imagine Naruto's pace, like pa 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 pa,
Yeah,
like really fast footsteps.
I could see that. I suppose it just depends on the type of game.
Oh, you know what would be a cool challenge that I don't think would be that hard, but there's like I guarantee there's
A hitch.
50 no, I guarantee there's 50 dumb ways to do it and five increasingly genius ways to do it. Um, just implementing a button that freezes your character in midair. I guess like the Kirby, maybe like the Kirby air jump, but no, what I'm thinking of is um it's a move that my main and Guilty Gear has, but it's like a thing, you like throw a shuriken and you freeze in midair while you do it.
So just the ability to kind of turn off gravity for a character, I guess.
Just cancel movement for a second.
Hmm.
It could be as simple as turning on and off the movement script, but
Or
that
maybe there's
might be
just
the
an
dumb way.
animation or something like that.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I
But
don't know.
I'd want to. I think I could show it to you later, how exactly how it works. But I'm sure you've seen it in games before. I mean, kind of almost like Smash's air dodge.
I mean, I have a visual of a game. I don't know the game, but I have a visual of that effect in a game.
Yeah,
I can't think of
just
the
like
specific
freezing.
one. You ready to move on
Like
though?
you know what it is? It's momentum canceling. That's what it is. Yeah, I
Okay.
am ready to move on.
This is better, but the maximum rotation speed is always used, even for small realignments. A more natural behavior would be to make the rotation speed scale with the difference between the current and the desired angle. We'll make it scale linearly up to some angle at which we'll rotate it at full speed. Make this angle configurable by adding an align smooth range configuration option with 0 to 90 and a default of 45. Um, why is hold on? Why is that in an angle? Make this angle
What part?
the configurable field. Like, we're adjusting how quickly it readjusts, or like what? Like, because what we're doing here is making it so that when the camera rotates, the speed it uses is not. It's a variable. It's not set. It's dependent on how big the angle is. So what is this other angle we're implementing? Align smooth range, like what range it needs to move smoothly within?
But the maximum rotation speed is always used, even for small realignments. A more natural behavior would be to make the rotation speed scale with the difference between the current and desired angle. We'll make it scale linearly up to some angle at which we'll rotate at full speed. So it has to do with where we use the speed. I forget where. Now is it automatic rotation? Where did we just put that?
What?
Move towards the stuff the
That's in automatic rotation, yeah.
yeah. Um, so we get that rotation change. Wait, am I ahead or
Well, because there's three angles, because there's the current angle, the desired angle, and then the difference between those two, and then we have a fourth angle, which is the angle that we rotate to linearly. Like, we'll make it
yeah.
scale linearly up to some angle at which we'll rotate at full speed. So,
Yeah. So right now it's set up so that um or well, like he's talking about at small rotations, we're using our we use our max speed value to just derive how fast it should turn when that isn't supernatural, I guess, is what he's saying. So you have a threshold for when it should be just going at your max speed and when it should like I guess it's lerping between before that.
our fourth angle in this sense is the angle at which it starts moving at max speed.
Yeah.
The angle change, I guess. So if the change in angle is over 45 degrees, then it will linearly go up to that 45 and then go to full speed after that.
No, well, I think it'll wait up to some angle at which we'll rotate at full speed. I think what it means is that um, if you have a really small angle that it's supposed to turn, it'll scale linearly. But then if it's a really big angle, it'll go full speed.
Well, isn't it if it's a really big angle, it'll scale linearly up to 45 and then go full speed?
Yeah, but it's not like per frame. He's talking about like all the range of different possible angles that you could be turning. Like it could only turn 1 degree, or it could turn a full 45 degrees, or it could turn, as you saw, 180 degrees. And if it does it at full speed every time, it doesn't look natural. Like the turning speed is essentially the same the whole time.
Yeah.
So we add like two different turning speeds and a cutoff. So like under a certain range, like under a certain amount of angle, or what's the word? Under a certain angle that it needs to turn, it'll do it in this more natural fashion that he wrote out. And then
This is another
if
thing
it
that I never would
if
have
it's a
thought to do, I feel like.
yeah, this is we're in level 3, so this
It's a
is
pretty good system, it seems. Seems very clever.
yeah.
Okay. Well, to make this work, we need to know the angle delta in automatic rotation, which we find by passing the current and desired angle to mathf delta angle and taking the absolute of that. If this delta falls inside the smooth range scale, the rotation. Oh, if this delta falls inside the smooth range, scale the rotation adjustment accordingly. Okay. So yeah, we compare the angle we get from the delta to our align smooth range angle, I guess.
Yeah, so like, yeah, we're just seeing if it is lower or higher than that number, how much it has to turn. And if it is less than that, then it'll be equal to itself times the change, which is what we are inputting basically, our delta ABS. And that is divided by, what is that? Align smooth range.
That's the
That, I
45
think,
degrees one.
yeah. So that's just like setting the, when you divide by a number, you're basically like setting its, uh, I don't know how I would actually say this in words. I feel like I understand what it's doing. It's
Okay.
kind of like it's setting like a lower boundary, I guess you could say, or it's like making it, it's making the rotation change within the domain of the align smooth. So if it's really small, it'll, I don't know. It's like a, yeah, the best way I can explain is like it's a loose range or ranger. It's a loose like range limiter of a sort.
Okay.
That's not that helpful, I know, but I feel like I get, by like dividing it, he's always making it so that it's like relative to whatever range it has to be like interpolating between. So
So
if
when
it's
we
really
adjust
high,
the angle there, that's adjusting how long it takes to get to max speed.
not max speed, but how long it takes to get through the angle, like to make the turn. Because every
Okay.
time it does this if, it's just checking like it needs to do a turn. And what angle that needs, what angle that is, depends on how fast it's going to go.
Hmm. Okay.
The
Um.
the delta ABS over align smooth range, that is like, um that's more of a technique of like creating mathematical smooth ranges. That's that's a little more like abstract, I guess. Like you could just put fucking 2/1 or what, or 2 or whatever. I guess you could do some like some static number and it would move linearly.
Well, I'm trying to get the. I'm trying to get up to this GIF. I think the smooth alignment GIF. And I want to see what that like feels like when I actually use it in game. Where is I have an error? This compiler doesn't seem to do a very good job of highlighting errors. There it is. Okay. It was like so subtle. I feel like. So if I want that snapping to happen quicker, I would change to 45. Yeah. So I'll put that up to 90 and see what happens.
At 90, that should be what the smooth looks like.
Seems like 90 is like the slowest option.
Yeah, because it's not going at max speed. ever, basically, unless you're doing a full 90-degree turn. And that's like per frame, I'm pretty sure. Let me check where that's called. Yeah, that's after every frame. So you got to make big turns for it to make a difference.
I put it down to 0 and it feels like the same. Maybe I should put it to 1. Yeah, it still feels so slow.
Huh. Maybe the rotation speed is the thing you want to bring up.
Yeah, that's probably
Oh,
true.
I just don't. Maybe that's just sensitivity.
Yeah. Well, it's both. They're the same values. Your mouse sensitivity and the
Yeah.
value that it resets the camera angle at, which seems weird. I don't know, like the camera resets faster for people who have higher sensitivity on their mouse.
I think we're I think we're changing the way the mouse works pretty soon.
Okay.
Like the next one, we're creating a transform for our input. So I think things are going to be based off that transform.
Note that with this approach, it's possible to move the sphere straight towards the camera without it rotating away. Tiny deviations in direction will be damped as well. Automatic rotation will come into effect smoothly once the heading has been changed significantly. Could you not do that before?
Wait, what were you reading?
I may have skipped a line. Oh, wait, that is new, actually, yeah. Oh,
Oh,
wait,
I've
no,
I've
it's
put
not.
this stuff in. I've gotten up to camera relative movement now.
Okay. Well, I haven't put. Have you? You mean you've put in input space? Like you actually written stuff
No,
in for
no,
that?
not yet.
Well, yeah, I
I'm
was at
waiting
that.
there.
I'm at that too. I was just reading this
Okay.
paragraph right before it. Um, at this point, we have a decent, simple orbit camera. Now we're going to make the player's movement input relative to the camera's point of view. I think that's really important for me to be able to say if I like this camera or not, because I can't like the whole thing feels really awkward and annoying to work with, and I feel like that might be because the camera relative movement as well is a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. The input could be defined in any space, not just world space or the orbit cameras. It can be any space defined by a transform component. Add a player input space configuration field to moving sphere for this purpose. Okay, so let's open that script back up. Assign the orbit camera to this field. This is a scene specific configuration, so not part of the sphere prefab, although it could be set to itself, which would make movement relative to its own orientation. What does that mean? So that means like you could rotate independent of the camera?
I think what it means is that he's just saying that like you have to set that for every scene. It's not part of like orbit camera is not defined by the balls script. So if you were to use that script elsewhere, you'd have to have a different input space, or you could make it like the ball itself, I guess.
If the
Maybe that
input, oh sorry.
that might actually, he says, which would make movement relative to its own orientation. So it might actually, it might turn right already if you do that. But I guess maybe it wouldn't turn the camera, is the idea.
I feel like there are some games that behave that way.
Yeah. I mean, most games, I mean, you would have a forward vector anyway that would be constantly turning. I don't know. I'm just talking now. Let's
If the
keep
input
going.
space is not set, then we keep the player input in world space. Otherwise, we have to convert from the provided space to world space. We can do that by invoking blah 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 and update if a player input space is set. So that's just the check of do we actually have something assigned there?
Yeah, I think so.
So this is within update, he said. Oh, whoops. Oh, whoops. So now it says if player input space desired velocity equals the direction times all that, else the desired velocity is just based on world space, I guess.
What it was before.
Yeah. Okay.
In yours, do you have this float min ground dot product and min stairs dot product?
Yeah. I remember those. I think.
Do you still have them though?
Oh, maybe they got deleted. Those in moving sphere.
Yeah, it says that they're never used for me, but I think that they are. I think I saw before that they
On
were.
float min ground dot product and min stairs dot product.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
right here I use it. Oh, you use it in on validate, I think, right? Do you
I
use it
use it.
anywhere else?
I use it in float get min dot as
Oh
well,
yeah. Yeah, it's just wrong, I guess.
and I use it in check steep contacts. Is it spelled the same? Is it the same phrase?
Yeah, I mean my code runs fine.
Oh, okay.
It just says it's not an error, it's like a tip. It's never assigned to and will always have its default value 0. That's not true though.
This feels like
You don't
ass. Why is my camera so skippy?
well, we haven't actually done anything, right?
His doesn't do this though. Plus the direction I have done it like the it's working. I'm just holding forward right now.
Oh,
It's like
nice.
relative, like that's working perfectly. It's just the camera rotation is total dog shit. I don't know why that sucks so bad.
Maybe it's your speed thing, your the thing we just set up,
The
the rotation change.
I left that at 45. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still at 45. The align delay is 5 seconds.
His
Uh,
align delay is 0.
I think he just has that so that it instantly does that just for the sake of testing, right? I'll try it, but
Maybe,
I
but
don't.
that might be what he's showing.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Max speed is 10, max acceleration is 20. Did you just say that?
Um, in the camera,
On the moving sphere. That was another thing he has on there, but I
it
think that's just
changes
what it
speed.
was. I don't know if he changed it, but he shows it on the thing when he's showing the player input space that you should put orbit camera there.
Okay. Yeah, mine are pretty close. I'll bring it to exactly his though. I don't think that'll matter though. Just the
No.
camera that's the problem. Well, look, it like oh no, never mind. It still is pretty janky even. It's not that bad, I guess.
I'm not getting that field for player input space. Why not?
Oh
Serialized
wait,
field.
I think this might be a reason why I don't like this either. I think this is inverted. I think my up and down is inverted. I might have that backwards.
It might just also be not done. Like super zoomed in. Yeah, when I make a serialized field, but it's not coming up in Unity. Oh, never mind. I didn't see it. I'm done. Orbit camera.
Yeah, this feels better. Technically, what I picked is inverted, I guess. But I feel like this feels better. I don't know. I feel like I have to try a third person game now to feel like I can't decide what's right. Whatever.
Although converting to world space makes the sphere move in the correct direction, its forward speed is affected by the vertical orbit angle. The further it deviates from the horizontal, the slower the sphere moves. That happens because we expect the desired velocity to lie in the xz plane. We can make it so by retrieving the forward and right vectors from the player input space, discarding their y components, and normalizing them. Then the desired velocity becomes the sum of those vectors scaled by the player input. That makes sense. So we're setting up just a +1 in the x and z direction by getting the forward and right vector and normalizing them.
Okay, just ensuring that it's not being affected by the new like orientation of it, kind of deal.
Yeah, and then we just multiply that scaled xz, which is like it's locked in basically is just xz. We multiply that by the input and it should be better.
So this is with an if player input space. Yeah. And then desired velocity has a new definition as well.
If player input space vector 3 forward is equal to player input space forward, which is just the camera's forward, right? That's what we're getting.
I think so. Well, it's the
From the player input space. That's what he says. Which is the camera's transform. So we're like taking the angle that the camera is pointing at, taking the y out, and then multiplying the input by that. so that it always turns in the right direction, I guess. I feel like from now on, I feel like if I get to a point where I feel like I can't say how it's supposed to go at the end, I'm just gonna say like blah blah.
Okay.
And you'll know that
It's something you don't fully be
I
able to not articulate.
yeah, I cannot articulate it.
Okay, well, now we're moving on to camera collisions, right?
Uh, yeah, unless you want to call it, because it has been an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, it's probably been an hour now. I thought we'd started early.
Yeah, I mean we could call it. It's been an hour. It's been close to an hour because we did have like 10 minutes at the beginning where we were just waiting, and it's at like an hour and 10 right now. Plus, this is a
Yeah.
good stopping point because we could probably wrap up camera collisions tomorrow. It's not much more.
Yeah, what do you think about before 8 tomorrow, we just try and set up, we don't have to do it together, but just like setting up a little thing to test our camera collisions so we have it ready.
Like a low level.
Yeah, like we could go as simple or if you want to have fun with it, have fun with it. But I figured just like a pro builder thing
Yeah,
so
that
we
could be
could see
fun.
if camera collision works.
Yeah, I'd make like a little tunnel, make like a room you could go into, make
Yeah,
like a
actually,
big open
room would be a
space.
good idea.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I will too. I think that'll be fun, a fun lunchtime activity tomorrow.
Yeah, and it'll get us some practice with Pro Builder, which I definitely need.
Yeah, I think I'm starting to get how I could learn it, which is further than when I first picked it up.
Alrighty, well, uh, thanks for watching. We're gonna end it here. So, goodbye.
Stall, stall, stall.
Oh yeah, you see this thing?
Sorry, I just saw a crazy toilet. Stall, stall, stall. Come
Look
on.
at the spinning ball. Look how it clips through the wall. You can see the inside of the wall. That's no good. You gotta, you gotta move it. Some games do it where the wall like dissolves. And that would be interesting to learn. I don't know how the fuck to do that. This guy doesn't do that. He just says fuck it and just moves the whole camera. Which could be nice. Some games do that too. Maybe that's a good system. Depends on the game, you know. It's just that
How come
I'm.
I don't get this fucking camera? This code is too hard. I'm going back to playing my silly little games.
That's me. I am Yugi.